What's up, YouTube? I'm Trent Wel-Don. Welcome back to the channel Wel-Don Aquatics. Tonight we are going to get started on plumbing the water station that we recently just built, and I showed you that in the previous video. Tonight I want to get started on the plumbing. I have decided to make this kind of a two-part video to keep the video from being 20 minutes long, and I feel that each video focuses in on specific parts of the plumbing and how it works. So the reason I chose the top water container is that it came with a 3/4 inch bulkhead already installed into the unit, and it accepts a female adapter of the 3/4 inch threaded. So it's super simple to find adapters for this, parts for this. So I'm using some Teflon tape to tighten up the threads, make sure I'm going to get no leaks, as that is going to be the main fitting holding back most of the water pressure, and then you're going to get into the valves and that nature. But to start off with, we are using a 3/4 inch adapter, and we're going to, everything here is 3/4 inch pipe. I really thought about using a colored PVC pipe just to make the build that much cooler in a sense. Maybe some red pipe would kind of stand out, but to keep costs down, and in all honesty, since no one's really going to see this other than on YouTube, I went with just your standard PVC pipe. It's available at all your big box hardware stores, so super simple, super cheap, and it's really easy to work with. The cutters are very easy, but yeah, it's the whole thought process of this plumbing is easy. I wanted something simple, and I wanted something that was going to work long term and it would work in my small space. So it may seem kind of silly, but to help save on space, I did use some street fittings. And I really like street fittings because it takes away the guessing game of having to cut down, inch PVC, then trying to make that function with your next part. So the street fitting elbow, it slips right in. It's sleek, it's simple, it's effective, and it doesn't look half bad. So now we got the main portion of this plumbing in. It's time to move on to what actual ball valves we are going to be using on this build. Now for this, I went with the Cepex ball valve from Bulk Reef Supply. I specifically chose these valves as they are a much stronger ball valve than your regular standard, 40 schedule or schedule 40 PVC ball valves. And as over time, the big box hardware ball valves, they can freeze up on you and they're very difficult to turn. I've used them in builds, I will continue to use them in builds, but this one where I knew that I was going to be repeatedly turning the lever on a ball valve, I specifically went with the Cepex valves. What's nice is they're also a union on both sides of the valve, so you can actually take them apart off your plumbing to clean them. You can lubricate the seals. You can actually give you a key wrench. You can tighten the seals. So it's just an overall much higher quality ball valve. And they come with both slip and threaded fittings readily available to use. Guys, I want to thank you for watching my video. And as I finished that video and I kind of sat here thinking about the process of this and how I want this all to be plumbed in, I've decided that I'm going to change this style a little bit. I want to explain really quick, kind of as an add-on to the end of the video. My previous thought process on this was that this was going to be on wheels, and I would be able to slide this out to this pipe, open this, fill it with water, push it back in, and mix the salt water. But because I have such a limited area to build this, and I really could have only gone like an inch wider, maybe, as I kind of have, anyways, I have very limited space. My thought process is I'm going to adapt how I'm going to mix my salt water. I'll explain that in a future video. That's going to be the next video in this series, is plumbing this up to mix salt water. But what I think I'm going to do, so I'm going to shorten this adaptation up here. Nothing's glued together yet. Come off this elbow, and I'm going to put a T valve here. And of course, my furnace is kicked on. I may do a voiceover on this, not sure yet. But I think when I put a T here, right, I'm gonna plumb it to where it's gonna run underneath, drop down, and I'm gonna add a second valve on that line. So all I need to do is turn that. I can turn that on, turn this on, turn that on, and fill that. But then when I want to fill a bucket to refill my auto top off, all I gotta do is open this, shut this valve, and collect water from here to a bucket. So kind of what I'm thinking of. I'm still playing with some things, but this is all the fun process of building out a fish room. And this is something I really wanted on this fish room versus my old one, is I wanted a nice RO setup saltwater mixing station that fit my needs. And since I could have made this top tank smaller, I could have used a second brute trash can up here, but I really like the style of this tank. I like the bulkhead adapter already in there. So I knew this is kind of what I was envisioning. I wanted a nice RO water storage tank, a simple mixing tank, brute trash can really, and then a way to utilize this small space effectively. So I'm about there. So kind of my final thoughts on this. Stay tuned, subscribe if you want to see the next one. We're going to work on plumbing out the actual mixing station and talk more of how we're going to do that. So thank you guys, and we'll see you in the next one.